Good morning, everybody. It's a joy to be in one of my favorite cities and amongst my very favorite community, the shipping community. I feel like a fish in the water, in the ocean, in fact. I'd like to also say thank you to Susan, Stephen, and IMPA for inviting me here, and it's a pleasure to give you a few words about what I think are the challenges of this industry. I like to echo what Susan said, which the maritime industry, long the backbone of global trade, is now facing a perfect storm. There are many challenges, and which is threatening its very core, which is the recruitment and the retention of the seafarers. As the sector is actually undergoing rapid technological advancement and increasing regulatory demands, the need for capable workforce, not only for the seafarers, but also for the shore-based personnel, has never been so critical as it is today. The rapid transformation and move towards more sustainable and technologically integrated operations, the demand for proficiency in digital technologies, in environmental management, and compliance with the international regulations have escalated the workforce to be more developed and to become more, this has become a more pressing issue. Addressing the skill gap in the maritime industry requires a proactive and flexible approach from both the employers and the industry as a whole. The challenges are many, from the existing skills to shifting to the skills that are required to do the job today. So let us talk a little bit about what the challenges are. I'm not here to preach the converted. I know that you all know the challenges, but let me point out a few words about each challenge that we are facing. We are looking at the technology. The technological advancement, including digital navigation, AI, automated systems, they're all shaping the maritime landscape. These innovations require new skills, which many seafarers lack, in fact. And they need to adapt to a landscape where online operation and automation play a critical role. There would be a growing need for balancing between the hands-on shipboard experience and digital proficiency to ensure operational safety and effectiveness. If the crew does not have not been given the right training and given the upskilling that she or he needs to be doing his job with confidence, this gap can in fact lead to severe casualties on board, put the vessel and its personnel at risk, and could actually bring negative impact in the maritime environment as well. The other thing is decarbonization, and of course we have all been talking about decarbonization for the long time. And of course the industry is moving towards decarbonization. The workforce development is extending to alternative fuels such as hydrogen, ammonia, methanol. And my point with bringing up this is that how much do we need to train our people to really, it's essential to make sure that they have the right training to handle this material. We also have regulations, as Susan mentioned, that we are facing a more stringent environmental and safety regulations, and there is a need for upskilling the workforce to ensure compliance with the regulations. Diversity is another thing, which is, I must say that diversity and inclusion is still an uphill battle when it comes to the maritime industry, especially when it comes to the gender diversity in the industry and in particular for the onboard personnel. Then we have something that we don't really normally talk so much about, and it's declining interest in this industry. You see that there is a significant number of people in this industry are either who are experienced, who have been in this industry for some time, are either retiring or are shifting profession, moving to some other thing. And especially this is true for those who are seafarers. Because as you know, ladies and gentlemen, seafaring is not a profession that you retire in. Seafaring is something that you do for a while, and then you move to a shore-based position. So the lack of experience and expertise will create a vacuum in this industry. And we see that the younger generation is showing less interest in maritime careers. Perhaps the lack of information about the opportunities that the industry offers. Perhaps this is actually a very a very good reason for the seafarers not to have so many people coming to the seafaring career. And I've always said this many times, that we should be aware, as people in this industry, we should be aware of a situation, of a day, that we are going to be laying up our vessels, not because of the lack of commodity to carry, but because of the lack of expert seafarers to man our ships. And we have to really pay a bit more attention to that. How can we make sure that the seafaring profession becomes a bit more attractive? In today's digital and green transition, we require new skills from seafarers. At the same time, of course, as we see, there is a shortage of maritime professional and limited mobility between the sea and the shore. According to a recent research done actually just a couple of months ago, in January this year, this year we have around 250,000 seafarers who need upskilling to be confidently manning our vessels. And these 250,000, we are talking about only the European economy, not the global economy. So you can see that the need is really major. Now, to understand this decline of interest, perhaps we should have a look at seeing what are the seafarers' concerns. Why is it that the seafaring is not becoming a very interesting and attractive profession? And of course, you see that when you talk to them, they see actually no career progression. It's like a dead end. And there's no hope that what are we going to do after this? They're also facing other issues. They are ranging from breaches of basic human rights to labor rights, underrepresentation of, like, let's say, women in this industry, which is like we are half of, believe it or not, we are actually counting for 50% of the population in this world. We also look at the other challenges. There are isolation challenges, there are stress challenges, there are long working hours, there are safety risks, there are potential impact on your personal life. There are some, if we really want to make sure that people go to seafaring, we really have to understand these challenges. And we have to also try not to add to all these challenges, all these issues, incapability and inadequacy to do their job by not providing them with the right skill sets to work with the tools which they are provided with. I mean, isn't upskilling them and investing in their career and professional life a great way to retain the talent? Isn't it going to give them a more stimulating job and learning and personal development to do that? So that is how important it is to make sure that you really train your seafarers. Now, the gap between the current and required practice and competences is growing. But the skill gap does not only appear in the seafaring profession. I know that the manning of the vessels is a great challenge for the shipping industry. But please let us remember that we also have need to look at the upskilling, the leadership and management level of those running this industry ashore. They need to have the skills to navigate challenges in crew management, in regulatory compliances, in operational efficiency. They need to have the skills related to energy efficiency, emission control, environmental management, and how contribute to the growth of a sustainable shipping practice. They need to strategize in the face of fluctuating freight rates, geopolitical tensions, and environmental regulations, how to deal with the integration of digital technologies with the transforming of the maritime landscape, how to enhance efficiency and reduce costs, improve supply chain transparency, how to foster collaboration among stakeholders and invest in cutting-edge solutions, how to meet the current challenges, such as, let's look at today's challenge, which is handling the impact of the recent tariffs, for example, which is expected to have a massive impact on the industry and will see reduction of the seaborne trade. So the answer to all these things is education, upskilling, giving people the right education and know-how how to really move this industry forward. But education costs. And believe me, I've been working within the maritime industry all my life, but with the education, I've been working with the Copenhagen Business School for the last 24 years, and I know education costs. And many times you see when the going gets tough, one of the first budget lines we cut is training costs. So we cut the training costs because the markets are not doing well. While you actually have to realize that, especially when the going gets tough, is when you really need to make sure that your staff, your people, your employees have the right education to sail through those tough times. And that is what it is. So there is definitely a need to have a holistic approach also when it comes to education. You need to make sure that you have the industry work shoulder to shoulder with the people in the educational industry. You need to make sure that people in the education, like myself, understand what are the needs of the industry and how can we translate those into an educational program. How can we provide an educational program which is hands-on, which is applied, which people can really apply to their day-to-day job and get benefit from it and stay competent and stay ahead of the game. So you see, and also, if you do, I mean, also to make sure that people in this industry there's a progression. People let's say, for example, the seafarers. I mean, the seafarers, I don't know, is there anybody who is a former seafarer in this group? Please raise your hand. Only 4 of you? I thought there would be more. But anyway, 5. Thank you. Seafaring is not a profession that you retire in. Seafaring is what you do for a while. You are a seafarer. You start at the lower level and you get into become a chief engineer or a master mariner or chief engineer, and then, of course, at some point you say, okay, enough is enough, I want to go ashore and have a job ashore. And then you come ashore. And then when you come ashore, you need to really have a way to be able to face the challenges of this industry. So that is when you come ashore as a seafarer, and with all due respect to the seafarers, I've always said that if it was not for the seafaring and the shipping and the maritime industry, half of the population would have been starving to death, and half of them would be freezing to death. This is a bit dramatizing it, but I mean, life is going to be very difficult if we didn't really have the maritime industry, the global maritime industry, which helps us so much. But I mean, when you come ashore as a seafarer and you want to step into other positions ashore, then you need to, it's fantastic with your operational background and your technical background as a seafarer, but when you come ashore, you would definitely need to have other skill sets. You need to be able to do risk assessment. You need to be able to do investment analysis. You need to be able to set strategy and implement it. And how do we do that? We do that through an education which is going to educate our people to take up higher positions and also be prepared to face the challenges of this industry. So that is how important this industry is. And that is how important it is to introduce opportunity that seafaring is not the end of your life. You can actually get on shore and get a good job and progress and be in management and leadership position at some point. So, and of course, you know, I've been working all my professional life within the maritime industry, and mainly with the educating of the maritime industry. And this education is not only for the, we have realized that we have done a program which we call the Blue MBA, which has been around for about 24 years now, and that is for the leadership in the industry. We even went further ahead, and we created a program which is preparing people who are sitting in the governing boards of the maritime industry. But we now realize that it's not only the leadership and management, the education and upskilling has to enhance the entire group of people who are working in from the lowest to the highest. They need upskilling, and we really need to invest in that. So, but of course, there are a lot of things that we need to do. And of course, we always talk about challenges, we talk about shortcomings, we talk about what is it that we have to do to become better. But also, we have to be better in making this industry knows for the value it has. This is a fantastic industry. This is the glue that brings us together. This is an industry which makes an enormous contribution to everybody's livelihood. And we need to really give it the credit it deserves. We are not very good in celebrating our successes and the positive impact that we have in the global economy, the life of everybody's everyday life, in this positive impact that we have in the society. So something that is, even maybe if we really enhance and make sure that we are more visible in the positive things that we do, may also encourage more people to seek jobs in this industry. You know, we should also keep our heads high and be proud because of the groundbreaking initiatives that we have made to make this industry sustainable. We do sustainable ship design. We bring in alternative fuels. We are reducing environmental impact, and we are enhancing operational safety and efficiency. And by doing so, we are building a future of safer and more resilient maritime opportunities and operations around the world. And we should really be very, very proud of that. So to stay proud, to stay positive, to stay bringing very good and positive impact to this industry, we should upskill our people. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Irene. We're delighted to have Irene with us because she's very much in demand and travels the world with her program. So it's a pleasure to have us with us today.